Hello my friends, William Poloniak here at Whole Health Foundation. Today I'm going to make another juice with collard greens, Swiss chard, and a few other ingredients. Let's look at my other ingredients. In addition to my collard greens and Swiss chard, I have 4 romaine lettuce hearts, French sorrel, 1 red bell pepper, couple of small beets, a head of garlic, and 150 grams of turmeric, plus of course carrots. So we'll start with our greens and make some juice. Before I make some juice, I want to point out that I'm using the front-loading feed tube, and this eliminates blowback 100%. And I'm using the near zero blowback cutter. This cutter with 80 teeth will shred produce 4 degrees cooler. So we'll put on the cutter first, and then I'm going to plug in the thermometer and feed in 3 or 4 ice cubes to cool down the cutter and the feed tube. Okay, I'm going to start with my Swiss chard. Put in my stem end in first. Here's the last of my Swiss chard. Now I'm going to clean my grid and start with the collard greens. Assemble and continue. Now I'm going to do 1 leaf at a time since they're so big. Now it's a good idea to fold it in half, turn it into a tube, and feed in the stem end in first. Next I'm going to put in my turmeric. Rest of my turmeric. Then the garlic. I'll follow that with my beets. Bell pepper, but it's too big, so I'll cut it in half. Next, I'm going to put in my romaine lettuce hearts. Continue with my greens. I'm over 20 again, so 3 more ice cubes. Go as high as 35, but I like to keep mine below 20. Couple more ice cubes. And here's the last of my collard greens. Next, I'm going to start on the French sorrel. Now here's the last of my French sorrel. They come loose every so often. And next I'll start with carrots. Large end in first. before I switch from the J grid, J for juice, I'm going to put in another ice cube and then another couple of carrots. And then I'll switch to the number 2 grid. Now what I want to do with this carrot pulp is let it absorb this juice down here. And I'm going to let the pulp come out to absorb the juice that's accumulated down here. Carrot pulp absorbs juice very, very well. And now I'm going to switch from the J grid, J for juice. Clean the grid in the palm of your hand, not holding it like so. And I'm going to set that aside in the sink and switch to the number 2 grid, which is better for carrots. Then I'll continue. Continue with carrots. Here's my last carrot. Now I want to point out the advantages of the front-loading food tube. Not only is it ergonomically and healthier for your spine to push from the front instead of pull down from the top, you can see in here if there's any unshredded produce. And even if you can't see it, there's usually a plug down here of carrots. So I'm going to put in a couple of fingers full of carrots and push that last plug through. Now next I'm going to clean the grid holder and the feed tube, and then make some juice after I mix the produce. The next step, of course, is to mix the greens with the carrot pulp. I do this by rotating the bowl in both directions. That gives you a really, really good mix. You want to get a thorough mix of carrots and greens. Greens will stick to your cloth. When carrots are mixed with the greens, they will not stick. Next, I've taken my cloths out of the freezer. I keep them in the freezer so airborne contaminants and mold will not grow on them. Keeps them fresh and clean. So peel these apart, unfold them. What I'm going to do next is put them in the folding tray. Leave a little space here for stacking my filled cloths. And I'm going to use the Whole Health Foundation model with this solid bottom plate to show you how I can get 10% more juice. But first I'm going to demonstrate my 6 cloth less work method. 3 scoops in each cloth. Fold it into as tight a package as you can make and set that aside. And we're setting it aside because we're going to press 2 cloths full at once. You get better pressure that way. Alright, let's get a bowl to catch our juice. 2 cloths go in the press. Centered left to right. Make sure it's on the press plate properly. Centered front to back. All the way back and back it off. But before I start making juice, I want to point out the cutter is never left on the shaft. With the hole facing down, put it on top of the feed tube. So now let's turn the machine on, back that off a little bit, and we'll continue filling more cloths with pulp. Here's my 6 cloth less work method. We'll put that all the way forward. This goes forward, this goes over. The spent cloths go on top. 2 more cloths full of pulp into the press. Centered left to right, centered front to back, all the way back, back it off, and we continue. Now you do not throw away your spent pulp. What you do is put 2 scoops, not 3 scoops, on top of this spent pulp. And what that's going to do is both hydrate the already pressed pulp and not be too thick. Later we'll put only 1 scoop on top as that patty gets thicker and thicker. So when you're on your last cloth, advance that all the way. 2 scoops, not 3. This goes forward, that goes over, the spent cloths go on top. Now a couple of tips. First we'll put this in here centered left to right, centered front to back, all the way back, back it off. When you have a puddle of juice in your juicing tray, one thing you can do is hold this very securely and pour your juice into the collection container. Now you have to be very careful. The first time I did this, I got it all over the counter and I wasted all that effort. So once again, 2 scoops. 2 scoops. Now this patty's getting thicker, so we're going to have to put only 1 scoop in next time. Now notice how full this container is, so what we're going to do now is stop. This goes forward, that goes over, the spent cloths go on top. I'm going to put these into bottles. So to prevent this from dripping on your countertop, put it back, but not a little, a lot, so it's very obvious. You will forget if you put it back just a little, and you'll damage your tray. So into bottles we'll go. Next we're going to fill our bottles. So that the camera gets a good angle, I'm going to fill these from the back side. And notice I'm leaving about 10% for either filtered or distilled water. I use distilled water because I have a water distiller. But you can use ordinary bottled water or filtered water if you have a water filtration system at home. So let's make more juice. I'm filling bottles again, as you can see, leaving 10% for filtered or distilled water. You could even use bottled water. Now as you can see, I've repackaged the already spent pulp. This is pulp most people would throw away. I'm going to use a measuring beaker to measure how much extra juice we can get. So let's put 2 of these in the press. It's a tight fit, but we want to get that right in the center. All the way back, I'll back it off a tiny bit. Let's see how much extra juice we can get. Well, so far about 3 ounces. And as long as you have a steady stream, you can leave that press going up. Almost 4 ounces now. Advance that again. Now we're approaching 8 ounces. Here, 17 ounces. So I'm going to stop this now, pour it into the collection container, and I'm going to press the packages again. I've repackaged it twice. So we'll put in another set of packages. Now there's another 3 ounces, so we'll put in 2 more packets of the repackaged, the second time I've repackaged this. Let's see how much more juice. We'll stop that and put in our last 2 packets. I could package it a 3rd time, but I don't want this video to be too long. So right in the center, front to back, left to right, all the way back, back it off a little. And we have another 8 ounces. That's a total of 25 extra ounces of juice by repackaging the already spent pulp and pressing it again. And remember, most people throw that pulp away. Repackage it. What did we get? I said 25 more ounces? Yes. Now one thing I like to do before I do a taste test is clean this upper plate, and believe me, most people forget to do that. And also the side plate. Now we'll put the cloths in here. I've already folded them and washed them in cold water. I'll put them in a plastic bag and put them in the freezer. Germs will not grow in the freezer, and that's the reason we put them in the freezer. I'm topping these off with water before I put caps on them and put them in the refrigerator. If you fill them right to the top, they will last up to 10 days, but try and drink your juice in 5 days or less. Well, my friends, as you can see, we have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 bottles of juice, enough for a taste test. And remember, more than 1.5 of these bottles came from pressing the already spent pulp that most people would throw away. So you have about 10% of extra juice by pressing the already spent pulp. So let's do a taste test. Now, my friends, let's do a taste test. Oh, this is delicious. Mostly collard greens, French sorrel, some Swiss chard, and a few other ingredients that you saw at the beginning of this video. Well, I hope you like what you've seen. If you do, please tell a friend. If you'd like to phone me, my phone number is 760-753-0321. My email address is developtrust@cox.net, and my webpage is wholehealthfound.com. See you in the next video.